the biggest political story was the people, the public, I think, that said in the midterm elections and the results that we saw in state after state, we want to look forward. We don't want to look backward. We're tired of politics of outrage and grievance. Not everybody, by any means. There were huge numbers still voting for those who claim that the 2020 election was stolen. But the real takeaway, and what I think is a very powerful message, is that in state after state after state where there were very closely contested elections, where there were sort of Trumpistas up against moderates, certainly in the primaries, and then in the general election, Democrats, Republicans trying to figure out where we were going forward. The public said, yeah, let's go forward. Let's solve problems, and we're less interested in the politics of grievance and the reruns of 2020 than we are in dealing with the very real problems of inflation and war in Ukraine, even though that's not top of mind, but budget certainly is, wallet certainly is. So I think it was, and in many cases, a surprising thing to pundits and some of the prognosticators to see how the public voted, as I say, very closely in many places, but still decisively.
And Adolfo, I'm going to put the same question to you. You know, reruns versus reality is sort of how Frank sees it. How about you? What do you see as the biggest political story of 2022?
Well, I see it a little differently than Frank. I think the country remains completely divided. It's 50-50. Even in all the close races that Frank made references to, the decisions were very, very close in virtually all of them. Take a state like Arizona with Kari Lake or Adam Laxalt in Nevada. But, you know, we're sort of skipping over some major Democrat defeats quickly. Stacey Abrams, what happened to her after a $200 million investment in her campaign? Whatever happened to Beto O'Rourke? That was a resounding rejection by the voters of what I see as extreme and Democratic potential presidential even nominees. So that was key. The other thing, too, Mike, is to take this into account, since people like to keep score. This is the second cycle when Joe Biden was either a candidate or president, where he's lost House seats and now the majority in the House. In 2000, the Democrats lost over a dozen seats in the House, and now the Republicans have taken control of the House of Representatives. Yes, it's not a red tide throughout the country, but it certainly is that not only a pink splash, but a sea change in terms of Washington, D.C. with Republican control of the House. So I see a very divided country. J.D. Vance, Frank refers to as Trumpista, won in Ohio. So did Ted Budd in North Carolina. And the only major non-Trump Republican statewide who won the nomination in the primary, Joe O'Dea in Colorado, went down to defeat. So that tells me this is very much a country that's divided, and everything's on the table for 2024.